You think you're being polite. You think you're being clear. You're wrong. You're begging. Every time you justify your choices, you are handing over a piece of your sovereignty for inspection. You are telling the world that your word isn't enough, that you are not enough. Politeness is the leash the weak use to keep themselves feeling safe. But you don't want safety. You want control. Let's look at the strings. Watch the room the next time someone says no. In a world of predators, the no is a wall. It is an absolute. It defines the edge of your territory. But watch what the amateur does next. They feel the pressure of the silence. They feel the weight of the other person's gaze. So they start to leak. No, I can't make it because my car is in the shop. Or I'd love to help, but I'm just so overwhelmed with this project. Stop. Look at what you just did. You didn't give an answer. You gave a confession. You provided a handle. By adding the word because, you have invited the other person to sit in judgment of your reasons. You have moved from a position of dominance to a position of pleading. In the hierarchy of social interaction, the person who explains is the subordinate. The person who listens is the judge. When you provide a reason, you are effectively saying, "Is my excuse good enough for you to let me go?" You are handing them the leverage to dismantle your logic. If they can solve your problem, they can take your time. If they can dismiss your excuse, they can command your actions. The architect of their own life never leaves these gaps. They understand that information is the most volatile currency in the room. When you keep your reasons to yourself, you remain an enigma. You remain a force. Imagine the optics of a true master. They are asked for a favor they do not wish to grant. They look the requester in the eye. They say, "I won't be able to do that." And then they stop. They don't blink. They don't shuffle their feet. They don't offer a maybe next time as a consolation prize. They leave the no hanging in the air like a blade. The silence that follows is not your problem. It is theirs. It is a vacuum that they will feel compelled to fill. They will stumble. They will apologize. They will wonder what you know that they don't. That is the subtext of power. You aren't just protecting your time, you are establishing your status. You are signaling that your decisions are not up for debate. They are final. Why do you feel the itch? That burning, uncomfortable heat in your chest when you say no and don't follow it with a paragraph of justification. It's not politeness, it's submission. From the moment you could speak, you were trained to seek permission. Can I go out? Because I finished my homework. You were taught that your desires are only valid if they are backed by a sufficient reason. This is the origin of the permission trap. Most people never outgrow it. They carry this childhood ghost into boardrooms, into high-stakes negotiations, and into their relationships. They are still that child, looking up, waiting for the authority figure to nod and say, "That's a good enough reason, you may proceed." But in the world of the architect, there are no parents. There is only hierarchy. When you explain yourself, you are subconsciously asking the other person to validate your reality. You are saying, "Please agree that my reason is legitimate." You have handed them the power to say, "It isn't." The moment you offer a justification, you have given them the right to audit your life. You have made them the supervisor of your choices. Look at the optics of the permission seeker. They lean in. Their eyes search the other person's face for a flicker of approval. Their voice goes up at the end of the sentence, turning a statement into a question. This is the scent of blood to a predator. They see your need for validation, and they will use it to anchor you. They will make you feel like your reason is thin, forcing you to over-explain even more, digging your own grave with every extra word. Mastery begins when you realize that you are the sole authority of your why. A mastermind does not seek consensus on their boundaries. Your time, your energy, and your presence are your own. They are not up for public review. When you stop explaining, you cut the leash. You stop being the child seeking a yes and start being the dominant force that defines the no. Move from a state of seeking permission to a state of projecting power. Stand in your choice. Let the silence be the only answer they get. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the most aggressive form of it. Most people are terrified of a void. They feel an evolutionary urge to fill it. When you speak, you give them something to grab onto, a handle, a weakness, a thread. When you stay silent, you offer them nothing but their own reflection. This is the mirror effect. When you deliver a brief, final statement and then simply stop, you create a vacuum. In social dynamics, the person who feels the most discomfort is the one who will break the silence first. By refusing to explain, you are shifting the burden of discomfort onto them. Watch them squirm. Because you haven't provided a justification, their mind begins to race. They wonder, is he angry? Is she bored? Does he know something I don't? They start to fill the silence with their own projections. They might start explaining themselves to you. They might start retracting their demands. They might even apologize for asking in the first place. This is the subtext of the predator. You haven't done anything wrong, yet they feel the need to compensate. In the Obsidian Gallery, silence is a wall of polished glass. When they look at you, they don't see your reasons. They see their own insecurities staring back. They see their own lack of frame. If you can sit in that silence for just 5 seconds longer than is comfortable, you have won the encounter. You have demonstrated that your internal state is not dictated by their expectations. The architect uses silence as a diagnostic tool. Let them talk. Let them over-explain. Let them reveal their hand while you keep yours face down on the table. The less you say, the more they will reveal. You aren't just withholding information, you are collecting it. You are letting them exhaust themselves against the stillness of your no. The difference between the leader and a follower is found in the punctuation. The follower uses commas, ellipses, and question marks. They leave the door cracked. They invite a rebuttal. The mastermind uses the period. We call this finalist language. It is the art of speaking in completed thoughts that leave no room for a but or a why. Most people speak to be understood. The architect speaks to be felt. If you want to stop explaining yourself, you must change the very structure of your sentences. Compare these two lives. The amateur says, "I'd love to help, but I'm actually really busy with the quarterly reports, so maybe next week?" This is a negotiation. It is weak. It is a suggestion. Now, listen to the architect. "I'm not available for this. I'll let you know if that changes. Period. End of transmission." Notice what happened. There is no because, there is no apology, there is no timeline for them to hold you to. You have used finalist language to close the case. You aren't offering a reason for them to weigh. You are stating a fact of the universe. When you use words like leverage, hierarchy, and status, you realize that every extra syllable is a potential point of failure. If you say you're busy, they will try to help you manage your time. If you say you're tired, they will tell you to push through. But if you simply state your boundary as a finality, there is nothing for them to grip. Go for the throat of the conversation. Practice the period. Make your sentences short, punchy, and absolute. The goal is to make the other person realize that the subject is not only closed, it was never actually open for discussion. You are not a negotiator. You are the one who sets the terms.
Information is like oxygen. In a high-pressure environment, the one who controls the supply controls the survival of everyone else. Most people treat their thoughts like trash. They throw them at anyone who asks, hoping for a bit of attention in return. But to the architect, information is the ultimate leverage. Observe the hierarchy of any room. The person talking the most is rarely the one with the most power. They're the ones performing. They're the ones trying to prove their worth, their intelligence, or their belonging. They are leaking. Every detail they share about their weekend, their struggles, or their process is a vulnerability. You are handing your enemies a map of your internal landscape. When you explain why you made a decision, you are giving away the why for free. You are revealing your logic, your values, and your fears. A true strategist understands information asymmetry. If they know how you think, they can predict what you'll do next. If they can predict you, they can control you. Silence keeps your cards face down. When you refuse to explain, you force them to guess. And when people guess, they usually guess that you know more than you do. They assume your silence is backed by a mountain of data, a secret plan, or a level of confidence they can't comprehend. The optics of the quiet man are terrifying to the insecure. By saying less, you appear to know more. By explaining nothing, you become the mystery they feel compelled to solve. They will keep talking, trying to bridge the gap, trying to find your handle. While they are talking, they are giving you their information, their why, their weaknesses. You are the collector, not the source. In the Obsidian Gallery, the walls don't talk, and neither do you. You listen. You observe the subtext of their desperation. You see the cracks in their frame as they try to justify themselves to your silence. Stop being an open book. Open books are easily read and easily discarded. Be the vault. Make them work for every single syllable you utter. When you finally do speak, your words will have the weight of gold because they are rare. Your no will be absolute because it isn't diluted by a dozen becauses. Remember, the person who knows the most says the least. The person who says the least holds the most dominance.
Power is not just a sequence of words. It is a physical frequency. You can stay silent, but if your body is screaming for approval, the silence is a lie. Most people explain themselves through their nervous system. They fidget, they tilt their head, they blink too rapidly. They are physically apologizing for the space they occupy. The architect understands the stillness. When you deliver a no or a boundary, your body must remain as frozen as the obsidian floors of this gallery. No nodding, no shifting your weight. Stillness is the ultimate indicator of high status. It suggests that you are so comfortable in your own frame that the external world and the other person's reaction cannot move you. Then there is the gaze. Most people look away when they deliver a hard truth because they can't handle the visual feedback of the other person's disappointment. This is a submissive retreat. Use the power gaze. Do not look at their eyes with emotion. Look at the bridge of their nose or the center of their forehead. This creates a psychological weight on the other person. To them, it feels like you are looking through them, not at them.
It strips away the human connection and replaces it with a cold, analytical dominance. When you combine finalist language with the stillness, you become an immovable object. Imagine the scene. You've said, "I won't be doing that." You are perfectly still. Your gaze is fixed on that point between their eyes. You aren't angry. You aren't happy. You are simply there. In this state, the other person isn't just hearing a refusal. They are experiencing a force of nature. They will feel an overwhelming urge to look away first. They will feel the need to break the tension. By the time they speak, they aren't trying to change your mind. They are trying to escape the pressure of your presence. In that arena, the stillest predator always wins.
The human mind is a meaning-making machine. It hates the unknown. When you leave a gap in your narrative, when you refuse to provide the why, you are forcing the other person to build a bridge across the void, and they will almost always build it out of their own insecurities. This is the strategy of ambiguity. In the Obsidian Gallery, clarity is often a weakness. If I tell you exactly why I'm doing something, I've set the boundaries of my power. I've shown you my ceiling. But if I remain ambiguous, your imagination grants me a power I may not even possess. Think of the last time someone gave you a one-word reply after you sent a long, detailed explanation. You didn't think, "They must be busy." You thought, "Are they mad? Did I overstep?" You projected your own shadows onto their silence. A mastermind uses this projection as a visual and psychological force multiplier. By withholding the explanation, you become a Rorschach test. If a subordinate asks why a project was canceled, and you simply say, "The direction has shifted," you have provided a grand strategy they aren't privy to. They see a chess move 3 steps ahead. They see a hierarchy where they are at the bottom and you are at the helm of a much larger, invisible ship. Ambiguity creates leverage. It makes you unpredictable. If they can't map your reasons, they can't anticipate your next move. They will tread carefully around you. They will weigh their words. They will give you more respect. Not because you earned it through kindness, but because they are afraid of the unknown variables you represent. Stop being the narrator of your own life story. Let them be the authors of your legend. You don't need to be understood. You need to be reckoned with. The most powerful answer is the one that is never given. It is the ghost in the machine. It is the subtext that keeps them awake at night, wondering what you are planning next.
You walked into the Obsidian Gallery as a ghost, a fragment of a person seeking validation in the eyes of others. You believed that if you could just explain yourself clearly enough, the world would finally grant you the respect you deserve. You were sleepwalking through a dream of fairness, unaware that these were the very chains holding you at the bottom of the hierarchy. But the dream is over. You have seen the strings. You have felt the weight of the stillness. You now understand that every because was a leak, a slow hemorrhage of your personal sovereignty. A mastermind never apologizes for their existence. They do not justify their space. They do not explain their time. The transformation from prey to player happens in the quiet moments between the words you choose not to say. It happens when you look at a peer
a boss, or a partner, deliver a hard no, and then simply wait. It happens when you realize that their discomfort is not your responsibility, it is your leverage. Look at the optics of your new reality. You are no longer the one filling the air with nervous chatter. You are the stillness at the center of the storm. You are the architect of your own boundaries. People will notice the shift. Some will be intimidated. Others will be drawn to you like moths to a cold black flame. Do not go back to the old ways. When you feel that heat in your chest, that urge to explain, to be understood, remember the Obsidian Gallery. Remember that silence is your shield. Ambiguity is your sword, and your word is the final law of your own kingdom. The world doesn't need your reasons, it needs your results. It needs you to be the one who moves the pieces, not the one who asks for permission to touch the board. The lesson is over. The gallery is closed. Go out there and let them wonder.